You're listening to the My Simplified Life podcast, and this is episode number 59. Welcome to the My Simplified Life podcast, a place where you will learn that your past and even your present don't define your future. Regardless of what stage of life you're in, I want you to feel inspired and encouraged to pursue your dreams, simplify your life, and start taking action today. I'm your host, Michelle Glogovac, and I'm excited to share my stories and life lessons with you while taking you on my own journey. This is My Simplified Life. Hi, friends, and welcome to another episode. I'm your host, Michelle Glogovac. Are there certain people on Instagram that you follow and literally can't wait for them to post again because you find their content so on point and even entertaining? Well, that's exactly how I feel about today's guest, Chelsea Winstead. I've been following Chelsea for a long time, and her content is filled with behind-the-scenes truth bombs that she is giving her students and followers, along with snippets of her home life, including her wife, who begrudgingly will give us a smile every now and then. Chelsea is a coach for VAs, which are virtual assistants, and OBMs, which are online business managers. She is a no BS person, and whether that comes from her background in the military or it's just her personality, I'm definitely a fan of it. I asked Chelsea to come on the show to talk to me about how she's helping service-based business owners amp up their confidence and truly move the needle in their businesses. This is a great episode for those of you who want to stop playing small and rev things up. And Chelsea is sharing how she not only did this in her own business, but how she's helping others do it in theirs. Hi, Chelsea.
Hello.
Oh, I'm so stoked to talk to you. It's our first time actually talking because I follow you on Instagram and I just love everything that you're putting out there. So I had to have you on. Could you please introduce yourself to everybody?
Absolutely. Thank you. I know we've talked a lot in the DMs, so this is our first voice connection. My name is Chelsea Winstead. I specifically am a business coach for what I would call done-for-you service providers, specifically people doing work in businesses of other businesses.
And you didn't always do this. I want to hear about your story. You have a unique backstory. So would you please share how you came about to where you are today?
Absolutely. So I have to ask, have you ever watched the movie Big Fish?
Gosh, it's been a long, long time.
So
I'm going to say yes, but I don't remember the details.
This man who it's essentially like a man in this movie, and he just has these crazy stories that seem really unbelievable. But then at the end of the movie, essentially his family sees that it was actually legitimate. I've had a friend tell me, Chelsea, you're like the young female version of the old man in Big Fish. I'm like, I don't know if that's good or bad. You think I'm lying or what the deal is. But have done quite a bit. So previously, I actually started my professional career in the military. I did ROTC in college, commissioned as an officer. I was a captain in the Air Force. So that was sort of my first introduction to the working world. After that, I worked in corporate IT as a project manager. And so really I laugh because I have no background in actual computer science, but I basically can deal with crazy yelling customers and make them happy. So that is how I got that job. So I was corporate IT project manager for about 4 years. And then I stumbled into the wild web of creating your own life. And so slowly I started to freelance. So I was working, part-time with clients while I still worked my 9 to 5. I did it in the evening or on the weekends and started to see the potential of what I could do for myself. And it was just very fascinating to meet all these people internationally, right? And see that they have common problems. And funny enough, I could help solve them. So I got brave enough one day, got really irritated at my corporate gig, went to a bar with my laptop at Friday at 3 p.m., looked around, secured enough money to put in my notice the following Monday. So that was the stumbling into the online space and seeing how much opportunity exists here that I definitely was super unaware of when I worked, the traditional 9 to 5.
And then how did you go from that to transitioning to being a coach for people
Yeah.
who do that?
Yeah. So, okay. So obviously corporate IT, a little nerdy, right? When I first started working online, I mainly did tech implementations. I still actually do that for like some long-term loyal clients, but tech to me is very simple. And I will say that I feel a strength of mine is being able to take something really overwhelming to someone and break it down into digestible bits. And so I started doing done for you services by implementing big marketing automations for online businesses and finding ways to essentially save them time by plugging in a technology or a software that would then alleviate the manual work that they were doing. So I started doing that. Really, I fell into coaching by accident, actually, because I started making, just transparently, like a lot of money. And I had a lot of friends I made in the space, and they were doing, exactly what I was doing from like a technical perspective, but they were making, a tenth of what I was making. And so, look at us talking now. Like, I'm very social. I love to connect and hang out with people. So I started to befriend a lot of the people on my social accounts that were following me. Ironically, it was a lot of people like me, which surprised me because I thought that the people that were following me were coaches. But I often found, virtual assistants, online business managers, copywriters, social media managers. Those people were following me because I was speaking their language. After having a lot of conversations, I realized how little a lot of these people were charging, right? And that's what it boils down to. I don't do any type of magical unicorn. Well, I'll say I do, but what I do and what they do, there's really not a lot of difference. It's simply that I show up to calls with confidence. I know how to guide a conversation. I know how to package myself at a premium. So therefore, I was making so much more money than a lot of my peers. And it like broke my heart, right? Because here I am talking to women that quit a corporate gig and now they're working 65 hours a week and they're making, barely what they were making when they worked corporate. And I mean, with your background too, like, that the goal of leaving is not to work more, right?
Right.
The goal of leaving is to have control and to love your business and to really just fall in love with what you do. And often because a lot of my now students don't have the confidence to go into a conversation and say, hey, this is what this is worth. Here's what, the cost is. They were really working themselves into the ground. And so my background as an officer, I have a master's degree in strategic leadership. I felt really compelled to help equip people like me with the ability to make the money that they deserve to make without working, 70 hours a week.
So can we back up to when you left your corporate job and you started this full-time business on your own? How is it that you came right out of the gate and said, I'm going to make this kind of money and this is it? Because I feel like when we make that leap, especially from the corporate side, where, as you and I were talking about before we started recording, we're so used to being handed, this is your salary, this is what your bonus is, this is what it is, you take it or leave it, to now we dictate what that is. And I think for so many, there's that question of, well, what is it worth? What am I worth? What can I charge? What's okay? And I know for me, I struggled with this. I've been doing this now 2 years. And in the beginning, I was charging people like $100 a month to podcast pitch them.
Oh, dear.
And it's so sad.
Yeah. Right,
I mean, it's now like 10 times that, right? But, when you start out, because you're going, I don't know, like, what is it? And, people will pay $100. I'm not scared of that. So I'll take it. Except now I've got so many, it's working more hours to do that. So how is it that you started right out the gate at that level?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I actually started dabbling in the freelance world on Upwork.com. A lot of people are familiar. I was very lucky to be like an early adopter of this. Like I joined this a long time ago, like when I first when I first moved to Minneapolis, which is where I worked in my corporate gig, I just wanted to figure out how to make a little extra cash on the weekends. And so through that platform, that's really where I did a lot of like testing of, okay, I'm going to search and see what other people's rates are. And it was such a wide range, right? Because at that point, I was really categorizing myself as like a technical project manager, because that's sort of what my career skill set was. And I'd see anything from, $10 an hour to like $500 an hour. And I'm like, well, this isn't terribly helpful. So I initially based my rates based on what I was making. In my head, I could not justify leaving my current gig without being able to at least like break even, right? Like I want it to be a wash. I don't want to leave and make like way less money. And obviously, if I make the same or more, fantastic. So I initially started out doing it's probably like 30 some bucks an hour to equal my corporate salary. So I call these like small wins, right? So I'd get somebody at a specific rate. They pay it, right? They love me. Okay, cool. I'd raise it by like $3 or $4. Then they'd pay me. They love it. Okay, cool. So by the end, I think I started out at like 30 some bucks an hour. And now, which I very rarely use Upwork, but when I left, I think my rate was right at about like 80 bucks an hour, which literally was double what I was making when I worked corporate. Now, fast forward, I don't do hourly rates anymore. However, it was still proof and validation through my process to understand, and this is where so many online folks get lost, is when you work a salary job, part of that fee, part of your benefit and the reason you work there is for what, right? Insurance, for 401k investments, et cetera. PTO. When you work for yourself, the reason why 1099 contractors, even at corporate gigs, get paid so much more than we do as a salaried employee is because they don't get the benefits. So immediately right out of the gate, that was like a newbie mistake that I made, is that I should have, upcharged my rate probably pretty significantly, because the people paying me do not have to assume the responsibility that somebody paying me as a W-2 employee would have.
Right.
And so that to me was like an aha moment, probably about 3 or 4 months into it, of, oh, no wonder all my friends at my corporate gig are making way more than me. It's because they don't get any of the benefits, which is fine, right? But it's just understanding that most people who are on platforms or who hire contractors are generally not wanting to assume the other costs that come along with employing somebody on W-2. And so for us, that should work in our benefit, because then therefore we should be able to charge much more from an hourly perspective. So a lot of mine was starting out at a rate, making somebody happy, realizing, that was so easy to sell. I bet you it could have been more expensive, right? Up the charge. Okay, that was super easy. Let's do it again. Up the charge. And ultimately, that's pretty much been how I've always operated, is that if it's super easy for every single person to say yes, it's probably too cheap.
Right. Yes. I love that mentality. And I've done the same thing where I went, oh, I got that. Well, then let me increase it a bit more.
Right.
Trial and error. And, as long as nobody blinks an eye. And, at the same time, it's like, well, if you get 3 people who say yes to this higher rate, why not keep it there versus having 10 people saying yes at the lower rate, because you're going to make more at the higher rate anyway. So working less and making more, it all goes hand in hand.
Exactly.
And it can happen. So let's talk about your coaching, because I love anyone who is listening has to go follow you on Instagram, because I absolutely love your content. You are a no nonsense, no bullshit, take it like it is.
Yes.
Go do this and do it now. I love it. I'm like, oh, I want to be a VA or an OBM just so I can have you coach me.
Right. Yeah. So just a little bit about like the program, or sort of like how we coach as a group.
I want to hear how you coach your students. Like, first of all, besides a VA, which is a virtual assistant, for those of you who don't know, you also work with OBMs, right?
Yep.
Online business managers. Can you go into a bit about what those are? Because I know, especially for people who aren't in this sphere, and as you know, coming from the corporate world into being an online business owner, it's all new verbiage. It's vernacular. I was in aviation for a long time. You were in the military, so we had our own vernacular.
Yes.
So it's like a whole new crash course that we have to go through.
Absolutely.
So can you explain a bit about what OBMs do do? And then how do you coach these people, mostly women, right?
Yeah. Yep. All women.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you go about that? What is it that you're training them? How do you get them in that mindset to get their businesses to where you are?
Absolutely. So, okay, virtual assistant is in my brain, how I explain this is a VA is a skilled person in a very specific area. So, like I have people on my team who are virtual assistants that help me with very specific parts of the technical work that we do. So, for example, I have one person on my team that like creates web pages. And they like go through and they make all of the edits and make it all beautiful, etc. That person on my team is considered to be a virtual assistant in that area, right? So generally VAs are pretty specific on a skill set that they know how to do. And then you would outsource work specifically to let that person take that work off of your plate. And OBM is really a project manager with a new title. A lot of the time, and you've probably seen some of my recent posts, it's been eye-opening for me to see how many people are still making that corporate jump. And the biggest struggle is, Chelsea, like, I don't know who I'm going to work with, or like who could use the skill set that I already have. And the answer is a ton of people. However, if you don't use the online lingo, right, then it's going to get lost. So an OBM generally, when it comes to working with online businesses, they really are like your ops manager, your project manager, the person that helps the CEO understand, okay, here are all the projects that we're working on. Here's the status of each one, right? So corporate, that's easy to identify, right? Project manager. But for online businesses, that normally is seen as someone who is an OBM. This person also, because we work in a virtual space, is generally fairly tech savvy, simply because when you're remote, right, everything has to be done virtually. So that an OBM is generally a project manager with some technical background and skills. So does that help? Do you think that's good enough?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
No,
cool.
I think that's perfect.
Cool. So what I specifically teach is, it's really interesting. It's literally polar opposite of everyone else. So first off, I'm like the anti-course like coach. I am, with my background specifically in leadership, I am very, very, very strict on accountability and progressing step by step. I often say that most people will over consume and under execute. Right. So they'll like binge watch everything and then they don't do anything. I'm like, okay, that's not helpful. So the way that we coach is we specifically dig into the positioning of the student, right? Where most people fall short is that they are not seen as an expert, they're seen as a helper. So when they go to have a conversation, they're not proactively guiding the client in a way that makes them look like an expert, even if they are. And often this is nothing to do with their skill set, but this is everything to do with their confidence. So my program is very specifically geared at increasing confidence through tactical strategy. So each week we release a module. So like, for example, the first module in the program is called SEED, SEED. It's all about how you market yourself online as a service provider. It's everything tactical from here are the type of Instagram posts you need to be posting. Here are the type of things you need to be looking for and commenting on in Facebook groups. Here's how you use LinkedIn. Like, we're very, very tactical. I've personally found that a lot of programs give you a lot of good theories, but they don't give you like a tangible thing to say, hey, here's the homework, go do this and let us know how it goes. And so that is where the program is super tactical. And that is really where so many people make that, they gain that confidence, right? Because I don't just say, hey, here's how it could work. It's, hey, you need to go do this because of this reason. Go give it a shot and let me know what questions you have. By sort of putting the fire under the ass a little bit, right? It makes you act, and then it makes you become more confident, right? Because you do it. You actually, most people find success when they do it. And then you think, oh my gosh, that was super easy. Like, why haven't I been doing this before? So the tactical strategy is really where a lot of the confidence building comes from, is because we're not just giving you general theories and say, hey, good luck. Like, hopefully you can figure this out. It's very, very much, you're being held accountable. You have a small group of people that are working on the same thing. You have weekly check-ins, et cetera. And so those tactical things, and giving tangible kind of digestible bits of information are really what allow people to then go execute, give it a shot, right? Get uncomfortable because you have somebody cheering you on in the background. You learn something, and then you're more likely to repeat that behavior.
I love what you said about portraying yourself as the expert and not the helper, because I know that even for myself, I've been in situations with clients where I am viewed as this helper. And I'm like, I am so much more. I am educated. I have almost 20 years of corporate experience. I'm not a helper.
Yep.
And I'm using air quotes that you can't see.
Yep.
I am an expert, and we have a lot of similarities, you and I, because I did ROTC in college as well.
Oh, wow.
But I decided that I didn't want to continue on. Originally, I looked at the Naval Academy, and then I was kind of talked out of it. And then I started ROTC, and I was like, do I really want to go and serve 4 years after college? Not really.
Sure. Yeah.
But then, coming into this sphere, it's been a lot of like, well, you're new in the online world, so therefore you're not really an expert. But I'm one of those, I'm not a techie, but I am. Like,
Sure.
I just get my hands dirty. I'm not afraid to jump in, and I will learn this, and here you go.
Yep.
And I am all about, here's the process. Like, don't just launch a podcast. There's a process, and you can eventually, outsource it so people can do this for you. But for so many, it seems like if you're not known in kind of the online world, they just automatically think of you as like an assistant. So I think a VA is not really the best title. You're
so you're gonna laugh. So part of my marketing is you're gonna be like, Chelsea, I'm like, okay, don't let anybody go watch this. They're going to get mad. So every VA that comes through my program, they are like mandated to change their title. From a marketing perspective, I put I put VA on my account because so many people label themselves as that. But then when
they search for it.
Right. Mm-hmm. But then when they're in the program, I've had like 4 VAs, quote unquote, sign up. And by the end, they have a totally new title, and their prices are probably at least double what they were like when they came into the program.
I like that.
So kind
of a little bait and switch. I like it.
It is. But you know what? It is it's empowering them to identify that they're not just a helper. That's the thing, right? They come in, and I'm like, okay, so you're a virtual assistant. Like, for example, one of the students right now, she's like 15 years of marketing experience. She was told by a prior coach, oh, well, you should change your title on Instagram to like virtual assistant and get started. I'm sorry. No, you should not. So when we met, right, it said virtual assistant. I had clearly no idea of her background or experience. The first time we talked and we uncovered that, I was like, okay, no, scratch that. You are legitimately an expert. Virtual assistant is like a disservice to your expertise. We've changed it. She's totally created like packages that are more targeted around her prior experience and helping people in the online space. But as you said, it's searchable, right? And so many people, when they come online for the first time, what's like the most common thing you see? Virtual assistant. So I've been shocked actually at how many people I've met that their profile is labeled that they're a virtual assistant. I get into a 3-minute conversation and immediately identify that, oh my gosh, you have 10 years of experience doing X, Y, or Z. Why the hell is your title virtual assistant?
Yeah.
So it's been super eye-opening for me to see the massive disconnect there.
Well, and I think virtual assistant kind of is associated with like, I don't know, $15 an hour.
Yes, it is. And that's what I say.
Right? Yeah. And that's not what we make.
Exactly.
That's not especially coming from the corporate world. $15 an hour. No.
Yeah, no is right. But that's why I'm like, oh gosh, bait and switch. It totally is. But it's honestly, unless you have a genuine conversation with someone, here's the thing too, and this, the online realm, I won't say it's saturated. I think there's room for everyone, but there's a lot of noise. And a lot of that noise is misinformation, including recommendations like telling a 15-year veteran in the marketing industry to create a profile that portrays them as a virtual assistant. That makes me want to like shove my head through a wall,
Yeah. Yeah, we're so much more. And that's part of this mindset and confidence and what you're teaching others. So let's talk about your no nonsense stuff, because I love that you said that you're like the big sister who tells you like it is. Because I have a big sister and she does that.
Yes. So. Yes, I'm the oldest of 3 girls. So I have 2 younger sisters, and they literally call me when they need like an ass kicking. It's hysterical because I like your parents, right? Think of when you're a kid, right? Your parents, they don't know anything, even though when you grow up, you're like, damn, they actually knew everything and I should have listened, but here we are. But your older sibling, for some reason in your brain, you like justify that like they know more. So my sisters, yeah, like the way I love them is literally the way that I treat all of my students. And the thing is that you sort of need somebody to get in your chili and be like, yo, this is not right. Like this is incorrect. And the funny thing, so I market, right, that the big goal with the Accelerator, which is the program, is that you'll hit $10,000 a month. That's like the big goal and the thing we're working towards. 65% of people hit that. But the most endearing thing is that at the end, they say, and like at every end, the final call, the biggest takeaway is the confidence. And like that makes my heart like so full, because money is great, right? Like we obviously have bills to pay, et cetera. But it's another thing to feel very like true and proud of like who you are. And the biggest reason that I approach things with like the no like nonsense and I'm very in your face and I'm very direct is because it catches your attention, right? Like if I get on a call and I'm like, okay, Michelle, so that's great. And like, maybe you should try it this way. Okay, cool. Where if I'm like, Michelle, don't do that. That is not the right, like immediately that tone, you're going to listen, right? You're going to be receptive. You're going to listen. And most people, it's really funny because I obviously am a polar personality. So if you don't like direct feedback, you likely don't follow me. So all of the people that buy from me, they actually really appreciate that in your face type of encouragement, because for some reason, right, some of us are programmed to really respond to direct feedback. And that is just who I am. It's who I always have been. And I feel like without that, you miss the opportunity to really change your behavior. And so the biggest thing is I teach no tech skills, right? That's the funny thing is you would assume, oh, Chelsea, corporate IT, she's a coach, she teaches tech. No, zero. We do go over no tech because every person that comes in the program, they're literally already an expert. They're just not charging like one. So my charge when I work with someone is to truly help them identify that they really are the expert and to help them build the confidence they need to successfully navigate conversations that will get them paid a lot more money than when they first get started.
I love this. It's so fascinating and interesting. It's just so it's new and it's refreshing. I find you refreshing because I do. I love it. We need that kick in the rear.
Oh, yeah.
Especially, when you're coming into this space new and you're so unsure of everything and, this whole mindset and the woo woo. And, I get some of the mindset stuff and I'm there, I'm like, yeah, I got to get in this. I can do this. I got this, daily affirmation stuff. Yeah. But you need someone who is there saying, you've got this, you can do this and you deserve more. And people will buy from you.
Yes.
So in part of your coaching, do you also teach your students, like, where are they going to find these people who will pay more? Because I think it's easy to find the ones who are going to pay you $100 a month, but where do you direct them to find these other people, that the clients that are actually going to pay and to see their worth in them?
So that's really a lot of, So, it's funny. Seed is like that first module. And I feel like everybody literally in the first 2 weeks are like, oh my God, like I've been doing everything wrong. So the biggest thing that will always attract a higher paying customer is your tone. So as an example, a lot of the people that come through, they do some type of done for you service. And often what happens is we fall into our comfort zone. So let me explain. Like I am an expert on like this technical platform, right? And so the things that I can easily talk about are the features of why that platform is so awesome, right? But do you know who that's going to attract? It's going to attract people like me, not my ideal customer who has a lot of money to pay me. And I learned this because I did this wrong initially. Yay, me. And so I talk so much about features. Here's the great thing about this. Here's what this can do, etc. Instead of talking about the number one thing that all online business owners are interested in, which is money, right? Revenue. So the better way to approach that is the reason that you should care about X platform is because it's going to save you time, and your time is worth money, right? The reason that you should do this is you're going to capture more leads, and leads equal money. And so often how I help people better get in front of the right ideal customer is first and foremost, the content that you create is going to attract the person that's going to buy from you. Unfortunately, many people who jump online for the first time and you learn a new skill set, what are you going to create content around? That skill set you just learned.
Right.
Instead of speaking to the pain point of your ideal customer, which is mainly around they don't have enough time and they want to make more money. Right. So generally where I lead people is number one. So Instagram obviously is where like I do a lot of my marketing. The core way well, when you have a small following, the other big mistake people make is you assume that just because you create content that people should reach out to you. And that is a silly assumption, right? So the first thing is that you have to be willing to start conversations to get in front of new people, period. We go through like a very strategic way to not sound like a weirdo, right? Like, you're great, let's talk. Like, that's weird. So we have a very calculated process of, okay, here's where you're going to respond to one of their stories. Here's sort of like a way to get into a conversation. Here's the goal of that conversation. In 3 days, you're going to like go back and you're going to start a conversation about this. And so it's a very like calculated way to get in front of people by proactively starting conversations. Also, Facebook groups are like the most fascinating thing to me. There are so many. And okay, Instagram is this like cute graphic, right? Cute story, caption hook, whatever. Facebook groups are where people go to literally ask questions and get answers, right? Mm-hmm. Very rarely does somebody post an Instagram post like, hey guys, I want to make a marketing course. What do you think I should use, right? You don't post that on your Instagram because your Instagram is your own like it's like your website's portfolio, but on a social feed. So people aren't going on Instagram and posting things to like ask questions to improve their business. Where are they going? Facebook groups.
Right.
So Facebook groups is like this really, I feel like a lot of people think like they're, Facebook's dead or whatever. And I find it quite the opposite. I'm in a lot of groups where daily women are asking feedback on, I'm trying to create this. Do you guys know anybody that can do this with me, etc. So the other place that's like a hotbed for opportunity is Facebook groups with truly engaged female entrepreneurs that are looking to grow a, multi-six-figure business.
I agree. I'm in way too many Facebook groups, to be honest with you. And I actually just created my own. Mm-hmm. But I feel like in my Facebook group, there aren't many of us yet. But I offer more information than I even share elsewhere.
Yep.
And, since it's more intimate, you're getting a lot of this back and forth. And I'm like, hey, by the way, here's this tip. And maybe it's such a good tip that I don't really want to share it with the entire world. Right. But if you've been, willing to be in my group, then I'm sharing my extra bonus tips. So, you definitely get more out of a group. Not all the time. There's some groups that I'm like, y'all are spammy.
Yeah. So we even go through, like, I personally don't recommend joining a group that has over like 7,000 people, right? Because it just turns into like one person post and in 1 minute there's like 700 comments. And so your ability to actually generic. So the biggest thing is with any type of lead generation, this is like my signature thing, like conversations always like open opportunities to make cash. If you're not talking to someone, this is like the biggest advice I give to anybody. And it starts through like genuine connection, right? The first time you message someone, you shouldn't be like, hey, you're cool and pretty. I have this thing you want to buy. You want it? No, that's
right. Yeah.
No, don't do that. So, but the reality is that people buy from people that they know and they like. So if you have a very small following and you are not outwardly reaching out to grow your community, like in my opinion, you're just wrong, right? Like that is how. Even me, like I literally every week make it a goal to talk to at least 3 new people on a Zoom call for at least 20 minutes a piece. Why? Not because I'm trying to sell them anything, but because communication, conversation is truly what like opens the doors for you. And if you're new and you're getting, and the other thing too, is it's a fantastic way to do market research. So you're not going to pitch someone the first time you talk to them, but you certainly can ask questions about their business, right? And those conversations are going to open and help you identify the things that your potential customers are struggling with, which then makes your content more valuable, which then makes it easier for you to explain the value of how your services can assist an ideal customer.
You're just a freaking wealth of knowledge. You are. I love it. I'm like, wow, we've already gone over 30 minutes and it's just like, la, la, la.
It's all just lessons learned that like I learned the hard way. like you, right? I was in the military and I worked corporate IT. I don't even think our company had an Instagram account. So I had truly a year ago, you're going to laugh, I did not know that anybody made money on Instagram. Like, I swear to you, I have a personal account. I have 2 Dachshunds, miniature long hair Dachshunds. I'm obsessed with wieners. I know that sounds funny. I am. They're so cute. I can't stand it. Their legs are so short. I could just pop them off. And so I literally, the only people on my personal Instagram account that I ever followed that made money were like weenie store, like apparel. How stupid is that, right? That's hysterical. And then I literally stumbled into like the Instagram rabbit tunnel, right? Because I think maybe one of my friends from high school bought some online program or something and she shared about it and I clicked it and then I clicked something else. And then like 2 hours later, my head was like off of my body, right? I'm like, what in the world? This is fascinating. And so when I first started, I had no idea what I was doing. I wasn't reaching out to people. I wasn't having conversations. I was posting super boring content about technical platforms you should use. And it was awful, right? It was just like I was struggling. And then I just started to think, let me just talk to these people that follow me and figure out what the hell they want to learn about. And it was that moment that I became open to just getting a little bit uncomfortable and talking to people that I identified all of these marketing opportunities that I personally was super blind to and unaware of because I was just in my own way.
Well, if it makes you feel better, 2 years ago, I didn't know how to listen to a podcast.
See, exactly. It's just hilarious now that I think about it. But back then I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah. Oh, well, right. I mean, at one point we didn't know what we were doing, coming out of college either. So,
right.
We all have to learn somewhere. And luckily, I think we're learning quicker than we did before.
Definitely. Well, and like you say, a lot of the tech scares the heck out of people, but you can learn tech on YouTube. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can Google anything.
Exactly. It just takes some patience with yourself and to not get so frustrated that you give up because it seems a little bit too overwhelming.
Yeah, just sleep on it. That's what I've done. I'm like, when I'm willing to start farming it out and paying thousands, I need to sleep on it and come the next morning with a fresh brain and retackle it.
Yep, exactly. That's exactly it.
Chelsea, I adore you even more than I did before. Can you please share with everyone how they can find you and your coaching program and everything else, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can catch me on Instagram. My handle is Chelsea, CHELSEA .Winstead, WINSTEAD. It's probably the easiest place. I am there. Feel free to chat me. I do not bite. And then the Accelerator is my signature program. This is small groups. It's a 12-week program, very hands-on, for people only. So we're very small, very intimate. And the goal is to help you get clear, get confident, and increase your prices so you can make big money without having to work tons of hours.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
This was so fun. I had such a good time.
I just love Chelsea, and I love that she has that Southern twang as well. She's someone that simply puts a smile on my face with what she's doing in the world, and I think that's so important. You deserve to have more, not while you have to work more. I hope that you take some of Chelsea's advice and recognize your own worth, and I definitely hope you go follow Chelsea on Instagram because she'll have you laughing and learning at the same time. Find the people who inspire you to do more and be more and follow them. Take in their content and know that you deserve more. You are worth it. As always, friends, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay happy.